Still don't hear him. These are the wrong speakers. Here we go.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Everybody in there signing seats tonight?
No, no,
You're just.
Kathy Bacho,
And here.
Wendy Reed,
Here.
Tom Graham,
Here.
Jamie Malcolm,
Here.
and Dee Benjamin did that. What we do have it for.
You'd like to comment from the crowd here?
In the correspondence, I did put the letter from Ashley and the letter from Melvin. And it's in the packet as well. We got one public comment here.
See if I can do this without babbling. Hi, Linda Rockwitz, 519 East Third Street. I am concerned about recent challenges to our boards and commissions, our volunteers. I believe they do, the work they do builds our spirit of community, takes us from being just a city and few square blocks to being a real community. The first challenge started with the idea that maybe the boards and commissions should just be clubs. Well, I disagree. Officially appointed volunteers have the responsibility and the authority to report, to advise the council. And I think that's really important. Another challenge, there was a gentleman that was complaining about the residency requirement to serve on our boards and commissions. He was angry because even though he and his wife made a big donation to the Parks and Rec Board, he was not able to serve on the board because he doesn't live here. And it was suggested at some point that we can't afford the boards, the Parks and Rec boards. And so I just did some checking, and the Parks and Rec programs cost less than $5,000 to the taxpayers. Well, that's a lot of bang for the buck, I think. And the tree boards only cost is the Arbor Day celebration, and that's mostly covered or completely covered by business donations. And the DDA I don't really get, but I believe that it might be a wash between what they get with the TIF, the TIF money. Maybe Nick can help me out here. But anyway, I think we're getting a bargain with these volunteers. And yes, we have serious infrastructure problems, but let's tackle those together. And Carter Williams has been trying to get us to focus on them for years. Let's get at it. Let's take care of them. But let's not undermine our volunteer boards. Thanks.
I think, we were supposed to have someone, speak on behalf. Let's see. Hi, Karen Oldfield, West Traverse Township. No hands are up for public comment now. We wanted to make a presentation tonight for presentation 49740. And I don't see I see him there, but I don't see his hand up. You see anything, Jeff?
No.
No. Anyway, I was going to just hand out some the brochures that we have for our organization. And I can do it at the beginning of now or afterwards. Would you like to have one, and then maybe Thatch will come in at the end of the meeting? Is that okay?
Sure, that sounds good.
Okay.
All
All right, thank you.
right.
And I have more for anyone in the crowd. Yeah. There. Hot potatoes tonight. Sorry for such an interruption, you guys. Remember.
Move on, other public comment? Approve the agenda.
I get somebody make the motion to approve the agenda.
I move we approve the agenda as printed.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion
Any questions on the consent agenda?
Nick, if, he needs it, absence tonight, only after those start to be. Kathy did them all. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I move to approve the consent agenda. I'll second.
All calls in spirit. Dollars there. Kathy Mitchell,
Yes.
Tom Graham,
Yes.
Jamie Melfi.
Yes.
And Wendy Reed.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, we'll move on to discussion items. Is that all right, Mr. Mayor?
Sure.
All right, number one is recognizing Officer Josh Johnson's retirement. So I'm going into the police chief mode, not the city manager mode.
We're supposed to celebrate this or be sad?
We're supposed to be sad, and we're gonna take a vote at the end of veto it. And you don't get a vote. So, little history. First of all, behind every good police officer is a better spouse. And I want to acknowledge Bobby and Joey, because having been a police officer, I understand the sacrifices that they've made over the years, whether it's missing Christmas, missing one of the holidays or a sporting event. And that not knowing if your husband or your wife is going to come home at the end of their shift. Not every job has that in their profession. And knowing that from my wife, I give Joey and Bobby credit, because you don't know. Even though we live in a safe community, you don't know. So Bobby, if you could come up. I bought you this just in appreciation for all your sacrifices. Sorry, Joey. but- To do that, and the divorce rate in police officers is very high. And to be married as long as they have, and kudos to all three of you, so. So now to Josh. Josh started work at Presque Isle in 1993 to 1996 as a part-time officer, court officer, animal control officer, and marine officer. He then went to Montmorency County in 1996 through 1999, and there he served as a deputy, dare, and a school resource officer. That was back when school resource officers were like, and dares were like, that wasn't, nowadays, they're in the schools, but Josh stepped up to the plate for that. On October 6th of 1999, Josh signed a conditional offer of employment with the Harbor Springs Police Department, which is a blessing. I've only been here 9 years, but it's a blessing to this town. He started on November 1st of 1999, giving him over 26 years of service. Josh can come up. So I don't have any gift to give Josh. We're gonna have I got a few things to say about Josh. First of all, I was going through his personal file, and his personal file is 3/4 of the documents in there are attaboys, letters, cards, and appreciation for what Josh has done. And having been in administration, you bank those, banking on the time that you don't do something good. He never had to do that. There's just countless cards in his personal file from all the great things he's done. And the words that I use to describe Josh is dedicated. In the almost 9 years I've been here, Josh is extremely dedicated. He's reliable. And he's a get her done person. When we have events like him and Steve, when I first moved up here, like they just got things done. I didn't have to ask them to do it, like 4th of July, putting the signs out, getting things taken care of. They just got it done. Josh is the last officer that will have retired since I've started, and it's sad because he's the foundation. He's held us together with all of his knowledge. He knows everybody. And then you've heard me say this on my annual report about my 3 C's, the 3 C's I live by. And Josh is a pillar of these. He's committed to the city and to organization. He's community oriented. He goes downtown, he walks in the bars, people know who he is, everybody knows who Josh Johnson is. And then he has compassion. He's got true compassion for people when he comes in. I judge a police officer a lot of times by, if I had something, who would I want to come and take my crime? Who would, if my mom had to call the police, who would I want to come? There he is right there. He's that person. Because he's going to take every call personal. He's not going to blow you off regardless if it's a small call or the biggest call. So all in all, we're losing a great police officer, but I'm very excited for him, Joey and Bobby. They're going to have the next chapter in their life, and I'm excited, super excited. We got a big hole to fill. Dave's going to try to fill it, but nobody's going to fill your hole, Josh. You've done a phenomenal job. Thank you. He's that person. He's that person. This community's gonna miss Josh. And because I started here as a newbie back in 17, and he helped me. He's helped me get to where we're at. He's made our department better. If you notice, and nobody in our department will deny, he keeps our cars sparkling clean. Right, guys? Like, and it's pride. He takes pride. He takes pride in himself. He takes pride in the stuff that we purchase, you guys purchase, and he wants us to look good. So if you want to talk, you can. If you don't,
It would, if I didn't say this, and it's important that I remember the upbringing I had from my parents. Kudos to my parents and to those I've worked with over the years and have been working with. And I also have to give credit to the many officers from our surrounding agencies, from the state police, the Petoskey Department of Public Safety, the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office, even the Road Commission, to the Little Traverse Bay Band Tribal Police, to the paramedics from Emmett County, and also I also want to remember the fire departments, working with all of those individuals. for the size of the community that we have, we all rely on one another. And over the years I've been here, it's been great. We all work well together, we depend on one another, and we've been able to get things done. And again, being such a small department, we do a lot. And when you compare us to bigger departments, I think there's times we go above and beyond with the size of the department that we have. So I would like to thank the city and to thank those that live in the city for supporting us. Because without you allowing to have a police department, we wouldn't be able to provide the service that we have. So thank you. He's got 4 more working days. God bless him.
Let me get a picture of you and the chief, just to remember that we were all here today, so I could hold up your whole program.
No,
What I do. Just for 90 more than one reporter, but I also do. Thank you. Thank you so much. I think this is not.
You can speak out.
That's nice, it's nice to meet you.
Thanks for allowing me to do that. We're gonna miss them.
Was it their fault, but it's Hammond jury?
What's that?
Was it their fault, but Hammond jury?
No, because he's getting out earlier tonight. He's 56. Wow, that's good. Good for him.
Yeah.
So, thank you again. So we'll move on to 4B. Harbor Springs Farmers Market, application for events on public property. I thought Hannah was gonna be here. Oh, but she's not, but in the packet, it's basically the same thing that we were approved in the past. I don't have any concerns about it. The dates are on there. And including the map.
Yeah, is that on the screen? The application and stuff?
Yeah, just continue to scroll up. There you go. Then you can scroll up and you'll find the map. It's been a huge success. It's a great event for our downtown, actually our whole community. Sometimes it's not even just the farmers market, it's a social gathering. It brings people together. So, anybody have any questions?
Amazing change when I used to have farmers market up at the station. They're well attended, once you move around town, you can do it.
Yeah, it's worth it to me, the sacrifice of closing the Main Street down for that period of time, just because so many people attend. I mean, you go down there on a given day and it's just well simple.
What can you do on Saturday morning?
My only concern is the shed and the way they leave it sometimes. I would just like to see more of the stuff going in the shed and not outside of the shed.
Okay.
It gets very cluttered and there's stuff left behind it, and I just think that leaving stuff outside of it gives people a target to go and mess with it.
Right.
Also, I know that the DDA in their downtown plan have talked about looking at the rules for the farmers market, and I feel like our farmers market is great, but I also wonder at what point we start getting concerned about the competition that it's bringing to the businesses that exist in town already and are here full-time year-round. They're paying rent downtown. I mean, we have 3 coffee shops within 1 block and they sell coffee at 1 or 2 booths in the market. And I just am curious if there's any plans to look into that, or if they can come back and share what their rules are, or how they decide on who's allowed to have a booth and who's not. Because I do think that we need to protect the people that pay rent in the community and are doing year round.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a great chamber question and DDA question.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think to understand what their guidelines are as far as what vendors, et cetera, would be really, so yeah, if Anna or whoever could come and talk to us sometime, that would be great.
All right. Very good. Take a motion if everybody's spoken to approve or deny.
I'll make a motion, we approve their vote.
I'll second.
John Graham,
Yes.
Lenny Reeve,
Yes.
Kathy Marshall,
Yes,
and Jay Rubel,
Yes.
motion carried.
Thank you. Next item is 4C. Mark Evans from the Sewer Authority as superintendent, as we met, probably a month ago.
Yeah.
And had a great discussion, and Wendy's part of the board, and I think it'll be very important for everybody to hear what he has to say. So Mark, thanks for being here.
Yeah, you bet.
Marcus, sorry.
That's okay. Do you have my PowerPoint by chance? Oh, okay, right there. Okay, so, I'm gonna apologize first and foremost. I am relatively new to the community. I came here in 2022. So I too am a transplant. However, I have been doing this, in quite a few different communities for a fairly long time. So this is the Harbor Springs Area Sewage Disposal Authority. This is our sewer map. So we extend all the way from Eagle Beach over here in Alanson, Littlefield Township, through the village of Alanson, all the way. The plant is approximately right there. We handled the sewer coming from Harbor Point. Of course, all of Harbor Springs flows to us. And then we also stop right about here at Bayview. This map is a little bit off. So right at Bayview, and then we do operate the south end of Petoskey for Bear Creek Township. So we have 40 lift stations and over 75 miles of pipe in the ground that we run out of the sewer authority. Next slide, please. So what I'm here to talk about today is Harbor Springs Ford Park lift station and the force main from Ford Park to the Page Hill lift station. So the sewer authority was established in 1967. Ford Park lift station was built in 1972. It consists of 3 dry fit submersible pumps, which are down in the submersible can right there. That's the pump chamber. It goes down into the ground about 25 feet. Right here is the wet well. Wet well is just where all the water comes in, and then the pumps take it from the wet well and out to the force main. A force main is, so in sewer, there's force mains and there's gravity mains. So what can flow by gravity, just flows by gravity. This pipe doesn't stay full the whole time. A force main is a pressurized system. So when the pump pumps, that pipe is full, it stays full the entire time until it falls to gravity. So typically a lift station will pump it up, push it along the way uphill, and then it will drop down to gravity. In this instance, the Harbor 2 here in Ford Park pumps it about 3 miles before it falls to gravity, about 1,500 feet prior to the Page Hill lift station. And then we have the control panel right back here, and we have the generator. The control panel, well, I'll get to that later, but the generator is original 1967. And what else? Oh, this lift station, all of the sewerage, all of the wastewater from the city of Harbor Springs and Harbor Point flows through this lift station. So everything comes here. And as you all well know, if we're 25 feet down in the ground on the shores of Lake Michigan, that can is underwater. So we're relying on that can to keep the water out. If we go to the next slide, please. So just a little brief history. So this is now public restrooms, but that prior to 1972, that was the wastewater treatment plant for the city of Harbor Springs. Which I believe at the time would probably just be a screening place where they would screen out stuff larger than maybe an inch, and then it would go out into the bay. So probably not good swimming back then, but probably better fishing. So in 2011, we did a project. I wasn't here, but I read about it. We did a project where we brought the control panel, used to be down in the can, 25 feet down with the pumps. We brought the control panel, a new control panel, up to the surface right here. And then we replaced the pump motors. But the pumps are the things that pump the water are the original. The motors are new-ish, if 2011 is newish. Next slide. So my concerns today are the pumps, the valves, the piping, the wet well, and the generator are all 1972. The pump chamber can is old. The expected life expectancy when it was put in the ground was approximately 50 years. So we're at 54 years. I'm not crying chicken little. Everything is moving along just splendid. The water's staying out and the wastewater's getting pumped out. I'm not saying that we need to do anything today, but what I'm saying is that we need to plan for what happens next. So next slide. So this is down in the can. There you can see the 3 pumps. And here, right along the base of the floor, it's a steel floor and a steel can. So it's rusty and corroded. It is not dry down there, but obviously we're not getting the lake in there. Just wanted to call your attention to that. And then we're kind of gonna move ahead to talk about force main, which is also 1972. So here is Ford Park Lift Station. The force main extends along Bay Street, transitions over into Pennsylvania, and then it jumps up to Beach Road and carries Beach Road all the way to Page Hill Lift Station. So there are 4 lift stations along the way, which all pump up into this force main as well. It's a 14-inch asbestos cement force main. Constructed in 1972, 4 lift stations attached. Next slide, please. And then in 2020, we replaced about 1,500 feet of the force main. They call it the force main, but it was really a gravity at that point in time because it was right before it fell into Page Hill Lift Station. Asbestos cement was kind of a product of choice back in the 70s. It's good pipe as long as it stays full. But when air is introduced to the wastewater, hydrogen sulfide gas is then released from the water. When the sulfide gas hits air, it condenses into sulfuric acid, which then eats the concrete pipe. So it kind of turns it into mush. And that's what happened just prior to 2020. Portions of that pipe collapsed, and that's all in kind of a swampy area. So when that pipe collapsed, then the swamp can come in, and then you're basically trying to pump the lake up to the wastewater treatment plant. Not a good situation for the plant and not a good situation for the pump station. So, my concerns today are the integrity of of the remaining 3 miles of that force main. It does stay full of water. There isn't a good way to camera it because it stays full of water. And in order to camera it, we would have to empty it out and then we can't just shut the station off. So we'd have to then haul that water with trucks while we're taking a look at the force main. And you can only video about 1,000 feet at a time before you need another entry point. Well, this is a force main, so there aren't entry points to go and drop a camera into it. So there's really no way of knowing. However, you know, that asbestos cement pipe, that also had a designed life expectancy of around 50, 60, maybe 70 years. So we're at that 54-year mark. It's getting time. So what I did is I asked Goslin Zubeck, engineering firm out of Traverse City, which is our kind of our engineer of choice out there at the sewer authority, to do a feasibility study and a cost analysis for both the station and the force main. The options for the lift station, I would like, because I have my guys and I've been crawling down in these cans for years. It's a steel can. You've got 480 volts of power going down to these motors. I just don't like crawling down in there with that power and with water. If water were to rush in there, obviously your pumps would be destroyed, but then all that electricity is then in the can. And what's the first thing that I'm gonna do when I respond to that lift station? I'm probably gonna check the control panel and then I'm gonna put my hands on that can because I need to get down in there and see what's going on. So I would like to bring the pumps either up to the surface, which would be a surface mount pump station, or put the pumps in the wet well, so then they're submersible pumps. I'd like a new control panel, obviously a new generator. That generator does work. It does run when we need it to run. It ran during the ice storm. However, parts are becoming hard to find. Some of them we can't replace on that generator. And then I'd like a bypass connection. So when we're talking about wastewater, we're always talking about redundancies. Hey, if this pump goes down, oh, okay, you can use this pump. What about that one? Yep. So we've got 3 pumps down in there and a generator for backup power, and then a bypass connection in case everything fails. We can bring a trailer mounted pump down in there and still get the water flowing. Nobody loses their mind quicker than those who can't drink water and can't flush the toilet. So when things go wrong, we're the first ones, typically the first ones there. Force main options. So obviously it's 3 miles. The old rule of thumb for putting pipe in the ground was $1 million per mile. Lately, it's been almost $2 million per mile. So, I mean, we are talking about a rather large chunk of change on that force main. So there are cure in place liners that you can put in pipes and then it hardens on the inside of the pipe. However, this is a force main. And so, we could do that, but then we'd have to pump and haul all of that water that comes to the lift station. So then it's not pumping it into the force main. So those pump and haul costs get very, very expensive. We would probably be talking, well, I'll let the engineers decide, but I would think that we would be talking about a month of pumping round the clock pump and haul time with trucks in and out of the city. pumping and hauling water away from that lift station. The other option is abandon the old force main and put another one in next to it. So you could open trench that, it's rather wet ground. I'm thinking that it would most likely be bored in. Which you could then pull the force main in. Put it in place, meanwhile, you're using the other force main, it minimizes the amount of downtime for that station. Because then the station would only be down when we make those final connections. Next, yeah. This is the $1 million or several $1 million question, correct? So the lift station is the sole responsibility of the city. Everything that pumps into that lift station is the city's water and water coming from Harbor Point. So that is solely on the city. The force main is a different animal. The force main is shared between Little Traverse Township and the city, with a 64-36 split. So I'm gonna leave it right there, and I guess I will come back with my findings from feasibility study and the cost analysis. Does anybody have any questions? Yes, go ahead.
How soon are you anticipating that you'll have those cost estimates?
Well, it will be a cost guess. The cost,
Okay.
the actual cost estimate would be determined once we go through a design phase, which
Okay.
would be designing the project and then the engineer's opinion of cost on the project.
Do you know what the cost would be to do the design phase? I'm assuming that's gonna be a separate.
That would be the next go around. I do not have a cost on that, but I would assume that we would get our feasibility and cost analysis. That's underway right now.
Okay.
So I'm anticipating that we would get that in around 6 months or so.
Okay.
This is not, like I said, the sky's not falling. This isn't something that we need to do right now. It's, hey, let's plan this out. Let's figure out how to do this.
But you're saying it's
Together.
in process and it's just gonna be a few months before we get start
Correct,
to see some numbers and some plans.
correct.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Did that $1 to $2 million per mile, did that include the pump station? How much is a pump station?
So we've done a few stations recently, upgrades of stations. And those were just shy of $1 million for the upgrade. This is a little bit more inclusive than those other upgrades that we've done recently. So I'm ballparking that we're not greater than $2 million in the station.
So maybe $4 to $7 million job.
In total, yeah, maybe 4 to 8.
Okay.
Karen, did you have a question?
Is Lansing in Little Traverse Township?
Lansing is in Littlefield Township.
In Littlefield.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, Judd, not Judd Hill, where's the other pump station?
Page Hill.
Yeah, what's the age of that?
Page Hill, that project, I wanna say that was 2011, right? That was part of that 2011 bond to upgrade Page Hill. However, the force main leaving Page Hill is still 1972. So let's cross that bridge later, cause that one's significantly more involved. That travels underneath the airport runway and then along the airport and then cuts up to the wastewater plant.
And the wastewater plant, just for reference, is on Hathaway Road.
which any and all are welcome for a tour. We have a gift shop.
Full hat.
Yeah.
Lunch.
Harbor Point is a part of what township? West Tract.
That's correct.
So they don't share in any of the financial responsibility.
Do they pay us for sewer?
You wanna explain that, Marcus?
No, I don't wanna get into those weeds.
Uh,
So, the city of Harbor Springs is contracted with Harbor Point. For sewer and water. And because the sewer authority is the contractor for the city for sewer. Therefore, the authority operates and maintains the Harbor Point, lift station.
and so the city, Nick,
City.
that assesses something to Harbor Point for their share,
Yes, but
but
I don't think it's equitable in any way, shape, or form. At this point, we're working off a contract from the 70s.
1971.
so that's something that you
That's
you
gonna all be
look
part
into.
and parcel. A conversation, we'll have to open those
Okay,
writing
we'll
doors.
have to open those. cans.
I think, just to speak in general terms, the authority has 5 entities that make up, the members of the authority. And, all of our service contracts with our entities are 54 years old. So I think it would behoove the authority and our entities to, possibly upgrade or, restate our service contracts with our entities.
Which I think at that point, doing it sewer authority wide amongst Lansing, Littlefield, Harvard,
Right,
that would prompt the conversation of redoing the contract with Harvard. Semi based on water usage and
Right.
it's not famous.
I understand.
Comment before.
Mr. Green.
Put in the sewer authority, I was a kid, I lived on Rush Drive, right next to your house. And my dad, I've been a sailor, as my grandpa was, and we could tell where the windows were going. You slip down the launching ramp, if the brown shit goes that way, it's the east wind, goes that way, it's the west wind.
Yeah.
It's ran a pipe out, I don't know, a couple hundred feet. and
Yeah.
that's it. I think they dumped chlorine in or something
I think the
Big
pipe
brown
actually
stream.
still out there.
all the time.
Yeah.
That was then.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, sir.
Just roughly, do you have an idea for all the upgrades you're recommending, how long it would take?
I don't have a good answer for that. The lift station would probably, you'd see contractors there for a month and a half. The force main, if we bored it in, would be less disruptive. Because that would be kind of moving along. They can bore in around 1,000 feet before they need to, set another hole and pull the next section in. So I think, realistically, that boring would probably take place over the course of a summer. I mean, it's rough here because our construction season is so short. And we try and stay out of everybody's way from Memorial Day to Labor Day, but if we totally do that, then we have absolutely no time to do anything that we need to do.
So within a year, maybe.
Yeah, I would think, from start to finish, a year, yes.
The one thing that I would, you'll have a new city manager, but I think it'd be beneficial if Marcus came like every year and gave us an update. Like you are, we had a great meeting in here, I appreciate you being here today, Marcus, but I think we should do this like on an annual basis.
Yes, please.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Maybe this time of year, we'll just earmark it that you're gonna come in.
Or maybe next time it can be at my place.
No, any other questions for Marcus?
Chris, how deep is the force main on average?
On average, let's say 8 feet,
And what's the diameter, 21 inches?
14.
Do you have any idea can you give us an idea what a surface mount pump station looks like? I mean, is it gonna fit in this little hedge area?
It would fit in that little hedge area. We would probably put a building in there. And that can be as nice as you would like it. But, you can get them in, let me think of, an area where you've seen one. If you go down, Hiawatha, so if you take a left down to Hiawatha, Bear Creek 2 sits right before the bike path. And there's a little fiberglass hut in there. It's green. It does kind of blend in. That's a fiberglass hut. But if you look at the lift station that we just redid as well out Bear Creek 4, which is across the street from Meyer, across the street from where the new Taco Bell is. That shed that we built there, well, I guess that doesn't have pumps in it, but it could look like that as well. That houses our control panels, the pumps are submersible, but it could look like that too. It can be a shed or a fiberglass structure. But it definitely could fit in the footprint of those hedges. I think for construction purposes, those hedges would come out, but then they could be replaced, yeah.
And I think I remember you saying that Harbor Point is also has to replace their lift station as well as we have to replace ours.
I made a recommendation to Harbor Point to replace their lift station because we had one that we took from Hiawatha Trail. We took that last year when we redid Bear Creek 2, and it was only, I think Bear Creek paid to put that in 2011. So it wasn't very old, so it had updated pumps in it, updated controls, and a new flow meter. And you know, it's just sitting in the yard at the wastewater plant, and it's fully paid for. Not that Bear Creek would give it to Harbor Point, but for very minimal amount of money, Harbor Point could have that lift station. However, we didn't exactly come to terms on that.
And we're doing a feasibility study this year and it's 30,000.
Correct.
Next year we do the design, and the year after that, we're hoping to get this project started. So
Well,
that can have to go 3 more years.
It depends on, it really depends on funding. I don't know if you want to move forward with design if you are not committed to funding a project. I think Nick, Kyle and we've discussed a little bit about ideas around funding and but I think that needs to be addressed as well or investigated as far as how you fund it. And this has been every community that I've been in. All of this infrastructure was put in the 50s, 60s, and 70s with federal monies. And, you know, the communities just said, thanks. And then, you know, nobody saved any money. Nobody established a rate structure to pay for its repair and replacement. So you are not alone. Every community is in this situation right now where they've had this infrastructure put in and they don't have the money to repair and replace.
I feel pretty doggone alone when I'm the one that has to find $20 million.
Yeah. So I did work with the community of Elk Rapids. I used to be the DPW superintendent in Elk Rapids. And we did do a rate study, and then we adjusted our rates accordingly, so then we could do a $1 million project in sewer and $1 million project in water it was supposed to be every 4 years, but the council kind of backtracked on that, so it turned into every 5 years. Now it probably needs to be assessed again because prices have increased and $1 million isn't that great anymore, but that was a way to stop the bond cycle. Because once you take out a bond, it's a 20 or a 30-year bond, you pay hundreds of $1,000s in interest. And then by the time that you get that bond paid off, hopefully, you just have to bond out again. So you're paying for tomorrow, or you're paying for today with tomorrow's dollars. And I just, I would like to help communities out of that cycle.
What's it look like if we ignore you and say it's working fine?
So like I said, every drop of water out of Harbor Springs flows through that force main. If that pump station were to fail, it would be very, very expensive to rebuild that on the fly. More expensive than designed and a planned replacement of it. If the force main breaks, that makes a hole, and a large hole, in a very short order of time. In the winter time, that handles approximately 200,000 gallons a day. In the summertime, it handles about 800,000 gallons a day. So if that force main were to break, you'd have 800,000 gallons a day right now, dumping out into the ground, and it runs right along on these roads right along the lake, so it'd be out in the lake. I'd have a lot of reports to do to the state. Beaches would be shut down. I'm not saying that we'd be pumping it out there all summer long. Obviously, we'd have to mediate that with some other pumps, pump and haul. But that pump and haul costs for the entire summer until you got a new station built would take a very, very long time. And a lot of these pumps too, you're looking at lead times. If you order a pump of that size, you're looking at lead times of about 6 months. So you might not even have a pump to replace it with for 6 months.
Okay, compared to that. Compared to the electric, yeah.
So again, I'm not crying chicken little. I'm just saying, hey, let's work together. Let's come up with a plan, because it's much better than being reactive.
Thank you.
The one thing Chris and I've had a lot of conversations, and he's like, from the 3 municipalities in Montana that he's worked, they've grown very rapidly. So I think he'll bring some good ideas as well. And then once Marcus has his estimate, maybe we get Chris back in and the 3 of them sit down and game plan, because I have talked to Chris about this a little bit, and they build 1,000 homes. It's different than here, but they built 1,000 homes, I think it was in Bozeman, in a year. And he has an idea of how to maybe share some of that cost. Yeah.
Are the feasibility, the rate study that we're talking about, was that something that you would do, or would we do that? I mean, the rates set by the sewer authority?
Well, the sewer authority says their rates that they bill us based on usage and flow.
Right.
Treatment costs and stuff like that. Our rates, such as Little Traverse rates and Lansing's rates, are all specific to our community.
Okay.
So for us to come up with a rate study to start adding this on the past, we'd have to get back involved with the electric, or we find some avenue.
Would we need to start with the results of any rate study they would do? Or would we do this separate from that? I guess that's where I'm
I
not
guess
clear.
it depends. I mean, I'd have to, that's where we left our conversation when the 3 of us met. What's the next step on the rates? No, I mean, obviously Mark's has got a wealth of background knowledge that try to tap into, but
Sure.
we're not sure if it would make sense to have him help us do a rate study in-house. Or here, somebody that does this for a living. You know, there's another 30 grand.
Is that something we should get
Start.
started on?
Yesterday.
Okay.
Years ago.
Yeah, just because the rate study that we talked about for the invitation longer than, well, at least I anticipated, maybe you were.
The first one didn't take too awful long, but we weren't crushing and waiting on dollar amounts for like the bond for the substation. Now we don't have. Once we have a better amount of money for whatever project that may be, it's easier to put together a rate structure saying. Need to cover operating costs, and then we need to figure out how to cover 5 million, 8 million, $6 million over the next X amount of years without.
But does it make sense for us to look at our rates now, rather than to start building up
Yeah.
some capital?
Yes, absolutely, yes.
Okay.
So once Chris gets here, I think we should wait, once Chris gets here, the four of us will sit down and game plan.
That's definitely something that I can help you guys with. They, as you well know, these enterprise funds are a lot, enterprise funds mean water, sewer, electric. They're a lot more easy to manipulate than like the general fund, where you're relying on tax revenue.
Correct.
Enterprise funds are fairly straightforward with a Excel sheet. You can say, hey, we should set our rates here, because then in 5 years, that will give us X.
Because those funds, those enterprise funds are funded exactly like a for-profit business.
Right.
So we're seeing the profit, but we also know we have to build a new plant of some fashion. To the profit someday, but yeah, then we can, it's easier to figure out exact operational costs and then what we want to set aside every year.
Okay,
Yes,
question.
Yeah.
We live in the city
okay.
on Ann Street and we have septic tank.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea how many people have septic tanks? And why that, I mean, Harbor Springs in the city?
In
Is
the
there a
city
plan to
limits,
connect all of us to the sewer system or?
So I don't know very much about the city. The authority's contract with the city does their own collections. We just run the lift station and the force main. It's different than the other entities. The other entities, we do all the collections and everything. I believe, but you're within city limits out there.
So on that side
Ann
of
Street,
Main
that's where
Street,
it stops, right?
this is where our collection system stops. And there was a buffer zone between where West Traverse system picks up and where ours ended. And those homes had put in septic tanks in Drakefield at that point. Anything within our realm, this side of that line on Ann Street, I think it's somewhere in one of our codes or ordinances or charter that any new construction has to be hooked to the collection system. So there is a legacy handful of homes there that do have traditional drain fields.
Yes, sir.
In follow-up to your question, there's Evergreen Ridge subdivision is immediately north of the town, that butts up to our city limits. They're on septic. Is there any, is it possible to connect these other, septic users into a more sanitary, more ecological system?
That's just what we're doing.
Well, I mean, we wouldn't be pulling in Evergreen Ridge though, asking them to change from a septic and pulling into our lines.
If you're talking about like, West Traverse Township or something like
Yeah,
that.
or all these homes outside of town that are on a septic.
So it gets a little difficult because every community within the sewer authority purchased capacity, bought a stake in the sewer system and the sewer plant. So if West Traverse Township wanted to come in, that could upset the apple cart as far as capacity at the plant, capacity at the pump stations. So, I mean,
No easy answer.
no easy answer, but you know, an easy answer is yeah, they can come in, but it's gonna cost, at a cost.
Okay.
But when our people play out there now. In the month of July, for instance, we're bumping right up on complete capacity of what is allowed for Bear Creek to Lansing, all of us. And then obviously in the shoulder seasons in the winter, we're not cold, but at some point, that plant is going to have to be upgraded, increased in size. And I'm afraid that point is probably coming. I'd rather start thinking about that as well, but.
I'd rather retire first.
Well, thanks for coming, Mark.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Right, everybody else. We'll move on to 4D, the Harley Quinn Public School Senior Vehicle Parade. They submitted an application for their annual senior parade since COVID. This became a parade which has become very popular. It's not that long a parade. We actually redid the route last year, which even has shortened it. It's on May 21st and it starts at 7 o'clock. Last year we added closing State Street between Bay and Main. Used to go down by the beach. We rerouted it last year to go up that whole stretch to not allow parking on May 21st from 6 to 7:30 because the cars that turn right on the Bay Street, or excuse me, right on the State Street off of Bay Street, it's a hard turn. It gets very congested in there because not everybody drives cars. There's other types of vehicles. So that was a request again this year, is to not allow parking. And it's just, last year we didn't have any problem on the police side of it. We put the signs out and it's a relatively short parade, but it was a very popular parade. Actually, I give my wife credit, it was her idea during COVID. She's like, she felt sorry for the seniors. And she's like, we need to do something. And she said, what about a parade? And so I approached Brad Blackmeyer and we did it, and now the seniors love it. So they gather out here at Ottawa Stadium. Last year they had a couple food trucks ahead of time, all the seniors, and they sort of had a pregame. And then they did a parade, and last year they ended up at State and Lake, and they're gonna end there this year. So any questions?
I think this is a great event. I watch it every year and I know our customers can see it from the windows of the restaurant and they really love it. And this isn't a question about this specific event, but is there a way we can have some kind of calendar that has like all of the road closings throughout the year? Because I feel like unless you attend these meetings or unless you're like super active on social media, you don't always know what's going on or why this kind of stuff is happening. And I don't know if the DDA, when they send out their newsletters to downtown, if they have any of that in their newsletters for at least the shops downtown to know that downtown is getting
Yep,
shut down.
we can try to come up with like the Halloween parade, the Memorial Day parade, all the parades,
Yeah,
and just put out a list.
yeah,
I'll see if I can get that done.
okay.
Right.
Not urgent.
No,
Don't add it to your list.
no, it might be,
because
no, it might
you
be after in a couple
Yeah,
months.
so that's okay. I just think it would be really good for people to know and be able to plan their schedules around.
Because there's
kind of stuff.
probably a dozen events that one way or another, I mean, farmer's market, we don't need to include that, do we? Or do you want?
I don't think it needs to be on no, I don't think so. I
Alright,
think
so that-
everyone knows about that. It's such a long event that I think everyone knows. It's just those like one-time events that,
Memorial Day,
Yeah.
Halloween.
yeah.
The one that would be a difficult one would be,
Homecoming.
yes, because that changes.
Yeah.
But I'll see what I come up with.
Or even just add these, as these applications come in, maybe there's a spot on the website or something that you can.
Because we've never, last year, I think we submitted an application for this, but a part of that,
Yeah.
we never submitted one, that like, you guys, we need this one, so, all right, Little League Parade would be another one.
Yeah.
All right.
Unless anyone has any questions, I would move we approve it.
I'll second.
Tom Graham.
Yes.
Lenny Reed.
Yes.
Kathy Mitchell.
Yes.
Jamie Milk.
Yes.
Before we move on to 4D, I see Hannah's here. Hannah, we did approve the farmer's market.
I thought I was early. Oh, nice.
You were walking in, I said, I'll bet she has something fun.
17,
Yeah.
yeah.
So the two things that we approved it, the two things is that was brought up would be, and anybody can add in, would be the shed area, just try to consolidate it, make it look more orderly, if you can get stuff in. And then sometime to see what competition or what rules that you allow people to come to the farmer's market, not to be in competition with the business of downtown that pay taxes. And I think it would be a good conversation between you and Bonnie and Becky, just to make sure the people that are paying rent every, first year, I'll give them, they didn't bring it up, but
I usually have a pretty open conversation with business owners. That is something that I am very aware of. So even last year when I had a coffee vendor apply, and yes, I just reached right out to Brook Street and I had a conversation with her. And then we did like a guest sort of situation, and I gave people that they, like, this is when the guest stays. And I talked to her afterwards, like, did you feel a negative, like, and she's like, no, it was always busy. So I do try, for the most part, for anything like that, to have a very open conversation with business owners. And a little bit of that, we are primarily a food market. We have every once in a while, like, occasional guest artists, etc., but we are a food market. We don't have a lot of crafts or clothing or anything like that. So for the most part, the majority of our products are not a conflict of interest for local businesses anyway. But yes, if there's anything in particular that I'm not thinking of, I'm open to hear.
does that answer that rule, or you want more discussion?
I would still like to see the DDA look into being more involved, because that's part of the downtown plan. To develop rules for the farmers market, so I think that the DDA should get involved in that.
Okay.
That makes me one thing that sets our market apart is, like, I'm all for working with people, but the farmers market is run by a completely we are run by a nonprofit organization running for our future. So we are a completely separate organization, not run by city, not run by city council, not run by anything, except our own. So yes, we do apply for our use permit, and I am open to working with people, but I don't want to have our rules depend on a completely separate organization. Then, just sometimes too many cooks in the kitchen is a lot.
But you're using city resources.
We are using city
So
resources.
I think that the city can be involved, and I think they should be involved.
But
Yeah, the DDA.
All right,
okay,
go ahead.
do you want me to just give you everyone this slide real quick, or do you?
Yeah.
I can.
She had emailed me to, or.
I didn't know that it was a Friday, and if anybody in here wants to, like, print some QR codes, so you could, pull it right up on your phone.
We're just gonna, since
I'll be-
you're-
No, that's fine.
I'll be super fast.
Yeah, we're-
I will be super fast. So,
It's not in there, Jeff.
Like, I just pulled the map back up.
yes, so in general. Again, hi, Hannah Bianchi, Market Master of the Harbor Springs Farmers Market. I have been vending at this market since I was 11 and took over running it in October of 2019. So I have been with the organization over 22 years. A long time. Okay. Yes, so our market is run by a nonprofit organization, Farming for Our Future. I'm not going to go into our whole mission statement. We are entering our 17th season downtown Harbor Springs with over 30 full-time vendors and over 20 guest vendors and local organizations that come in for a couple times. And then again, we are primarily a food market, not a craft market. So either everything is food related or created from local supplies that, and 90% of the time, the person that you see behind the booth is the one that is making that product. We are very committed to food assistance, our organization is, in 2025. So just last year, we donated over $15,000 of food. We have a market pantry program that, at the end of every farmer's market, we purchase $100 of food. And then vendors are usually additionally generous, so it ends up being like $200 to $700 at the end of each day. That on Saturdays goes to the Harbor Springs Area Food Pantry, and then on Wednesdays goes to the Pelston Food Pantry. We also have our LEAF program, which 15 families in the community get nominated, and then they are awarded a $500 budget to come and bring their families to spend that money. So it's significant funds. And because we are run by a nonprofit, that is something that allows us to do. The city is not responsible for earning other $15,000 to $20,000 to help support that in the community. We also accept food and double up food bucks. We have tons of youth programs. We have our Young Entrepreneur Program, which last year we had over 80 kids, and they come with all sorts of crazy ideas, and we provide them a free tent and table. And some of those kids have graduated out of that program, and they come back as guest vendors or have started businesses elsewhere. So it's been fun to be start of their journey. We have the Kids Zone tent, we have Kids Club. Market Sprouts is on Wednesdays in July and August, which is an educational activity. And then they get these little $2 tokens for participating that are all the rage. And we spent almost $3,000 in awarding those tokens last year. So that's another big expense. We have kids days, we host field trips. We have music at the market every day, 9:30 to 12:30. So all those musicians are being paid out of our budget, and then various additional services. We have a market bucks program, which instead of having to walk all the way down to the bank to have ATM, however many percents with the ATM, you just swipe your card and you get like farmers market monopoly money. We offer curbside pickup, wagons, we have compost and recycle, etc., etc. If you wanna, those of you that have it, the economic impact slide is the big one that I wanna talk about. So in 2022, in August, MIFMA, which is Michigan Farmers Market Association, attended our market, and they performed a rapid market assessment. So they had a series of questions, and then they had volunteers taking tallies of customers, and that's the first time that those database had ever been done. And I didn't fully understand, or like, why are we doing this? Why is this important? But then when I got this information, I realized just how important it is. So they were able to calculate that day, about 2,500 people came through the market. And then with one of the questions, figure out how many people were in the number of shopping parties. So about 2.3 adults. So then you could figure out that you have like over 1,000 paying entities essentially. That day, about the average spent at market was $33, and then the average amount spent at downtown businesses because of the farmers market was $30. 35% of people identified as year-round residents, and 66% of people said that the primary reason for coming downtown was because of the farmers market. So that day, 1,500 people were downtown specifically because the market was happening. And then being able to multiply that particular day, around $32,000 was spent downtown because of the farmers market, and then multiplying that by multiple averages, and then figuring out how many markets there are in that year. In 2022, it was around $1 million. Going to the next day, the next slide. I keep on these data days, so I know they're annoying and tally and they're roped off and such, but this data is really nice to have. So we do 3. I do one in early Wednesday because it's a slower day, so it's getting on the lower end of tallies. Then I do one in July and Kids Day, which is one of the busier days, and then I do one after Labor Day, again on the lower end of the spectrum, so we can average all of those attendances together to kind of figure out the general average. So in 2024, 80% of people said they visited downtown businesses. The average spent was $37, so it went up. And then 2024 was the killer year. About $1.25 million spent downtown. And then in 2025, again, over $1 million. So yes, we do use city resources. I mean, I try to be responsible for as much of it as possible, but when the market is, and it's kind of a sad thing, when the farmer's market is successful, the market doesn't get anything from that other than people saying, oh, your market is great and this, but the farmer's market doesn't make any money from the farmer's market being successful. The vendors do, and the community in general does, but like, I don't make any more money if I have an awesome market or if I have a not great market. So that is a little bit of my worry. I am fine for having a couple meetings with the DDA and such, and I'm fine with explaining what our rules are and why they are what they are, but having a whole separate entity really being involved in what can and can't get done at the market makes me a little wary. Anyway, the storage shed, we did talk about this. City council approved for that in 2023. So behind the New York, there is a storage shed. We had it painted last year, so it's all cute with a little mural on it. So that one of my students did that last year, and we do. There's an insane amount of setup and breakdown that has to happen for farmers market every day. Like we ourselves have 10 tents and tables, and there's the weights and the signs and the everything. We have one in giant cargo van and the shed like full to the brim of things that has to get set up every single market and break it out every single market. So we've found out recently that the alley is DDA property. So I've had a whole meeting with Becky and with DDA about all of this. So we're good right now. There of course will be plans that will change in the future. And we'll talk about that when it needs to be, but we have all communicated about that for this year. And then this is, that's the map. So this is the general requests. This is what I'm asking of the city for this is yes, use of the street on those farmers market days. Kyle and I talk pretty frequently about specific dates, etc. The police department is amazing. I live way up in Levering, so I'm like 45 minutes away from River Springs. So always the day before farmers market on the farmers market area, there's these yard signs that get stuck in the ground that say no parking to 7 a.m. And I am so thankful that I do not have to drive into town to Harbor Springs the day before market as well. So they do that for me. The signs live in the shed, and the police department has a code. It's a code. They go into the shed and grab those. We have 4 red barricades, which might still be behind the shed. I haven't looked. Because the shed is in the front end of the parking spot, so there's a little bit of area tucked behind, and I think they might still be there. But anyway, 4 red barricades. I carry those out at the beginning of and end of each market, so it's a one-time thing for us to use them. They're an additional garbage can at the very beginning of Zorn Park. Usually it comes out during Memorial Day and then it disappears for a long time, and then it comes back for the 4th of July. But if it could stay for a longer period of time, that would be awesome. And then another new thing, if we can just add the spot that I parked the van in the lot between Johans and the church, they are fine with that. But if we could just stick one of the signs in there the night before, just every once in a while someone parks in that spot and they need that spot to be able to open the doors and get the millions of things back in the van. Road closed sign goes at the very end of Travers and Main, and it always just gets leaned against the stop sign, and we do that at the end of each day. And then picnic table storage. There's one picnic table that goes right on Main Street on the sidewalk, kind of in front of the church, and then the kids picnic table goes in the park underneath the tree. So these are the specific city requests. That's everything. Thank you.
Thank you. So you are approved, and we'll.
So yeah, I'm like I said, I already have opened up a dialogue with Becky and with the DDA. I'm always open for chatting. It's just to have them be fully involved in the rules.
Well, I will say, I'm down at Johans every morning at about 6:45, 7 o'clock.
I get there at 6.
And there's nobody that works any harder to get that farmer's market, and you gotta talk to anybody who sits at Johans in our little coffee group.
Oh, the guys are so funny.
And works hard. There's a lot of work to that, so.
But it doesn't just, it benefits so many people.
Yes.
how many people are getting food assistance for that program, how many people just stumble into the market, how many people come regularly, it's a really flourishing market, does a lot for people. I love it.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Good question, Anna. What are the gross revenues of all your vendors?
That is a wonderful question. I mean, more than, the average spending at market is far more than it, numbers were of downtown, so
Yeah.
I would say
More than a million.
more than $1 million, yeah. Probably somewhere at least around 2, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And those are all local people in our community.
And in return, that's, I guess,
Yes.
the funniness, they wanna come back. Like, if they weren't making money, they would put somebody down there to be part of our market, and the market continues to grow. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll move on to 4E Coastal Crawl. Patrick Ryan is here to talk about it, but it's an annual event. This year's happening August 2nd, down at the Zorn Park. The only taxing part of to the city is just we put the patrol bow out, and Dean is always out there for that. Other than that, they pretty much take care of themselves. If you've ever been to that event, it's another cool event that'll not a lot of people get up that early to do, but it is a very neat event for our community. So Patrick, if you want to talk a little bit.
Yeah, thank you, Kyle. Yeah, the Coastal Crawl's been going on for over 30 years. For a lot of people that are part of the waterfront, it's a big part of their summer. And it's a big, a keystone where, just like the farmer's market, Hannah's Market, we're making these lifetime memories for children that grow up and want to come back here. So our town does so many of these things. And it's like a brick by brick, we're building up these happy times. People want to be here and come back here. So this is part of that. So there's no changes from previous years. It's the August 2nd, first Sunday in August. It starts at 8:30 a.m. Usually it's done by 11.
I'm sorry, where does it start? Which?
It starts at 7:30 right down at City Beach in Zorn
Zorn
Park.
Park.
City Beach.
Yeah.
They take off from Zorn Park, and there's what, 1, 3, and 5 or 1?
Half mile,
1 mile.
1, 2, and 3 mile.
So you can vary your distance, and some go all the way around the point, correct, Patrick?
Yeah, the 3 mile goes all the way around to
You
the
participate.
casino.
Okay,
Yeah, Lynn's one of the volunteer kayakers that keep everybody safe. I did want, unless there's any questions on a specific event, there's one aspect of that I'd like to get the city's help on, and that is to maintain the city's focus on keeping our parks clean and safe. I'm gonna be using some foul language. I have to talk about the geese waste. So let me hand this out. We brought this up to the city in 2024, and the city has supported, I want to hand that next one to Wendy. Supported trying to deter the geese. You'll notice, there you go, Kathy. I'll have to show you mine. The first page, it shows, this is a survey that Victor did in 24, and the green line is, yes, geese are a problem, and that's 80%. That number has only gone up over time. And in terms of the coastal crawl, that is where there are 250 swimmers. If you figure the families come, you're looking at maybe 3 to 4 people times 250. It's heavily used, and everyone's laying blankets down on the grass. The kids are running around the sand. To have fecal waste in our park, it's just not acceptable. So what we're doing now, if the second page, you'll see what we have approved in 24 is a sweeper. And working with Rachel Roon, it's just simply not working. It was a good first step to try to maintain the geese, and it's just not working for several reasons. So what I'd like to propose and request from the city is a means of deterring the geese from Zorn Park this summer. And if you flip to the next page, there's this lighting system. There's a number of ways to deter geese, and keep in mind, this is a nationwide problem. It's a major problem. Airports, golf courses, universities, it's all a problem and a big problem. So people have been trying to deal with this for maybe 20 years now, and they're starting to develop some techniques. There's like 3 or 4 ways. One of them is with lights, and there's a vendor here that you see, they're offering a light that you place in the ground at 4 different points. And at night, it emits an low amber light low to the ground, and it just doesn't allow the geese to sleep. It turns on like every 3 or 4 seconds and then turns off. It's flipped through to the back. It shows a map or a chart. 4 of them would be required to cover Zorn Park. There it is here. One would be on the dock, the swim dock. The other one would be on the beach, and the other one would be on the western edge of the park. So there'd be 3 of them. Yeah, 4, and the total cost would be about $1,000. There's a money back guarantee if they don't work. Their success rate is 97%. So it's an effective technology. The question is, will it work with our park and with our residents around the park? So what I would like to ask the city to do is approve the purchase of these units right away. We want these in the ground, say in May, and as the geese come in, it would deter them. We monitor it all summer long, and at the end of the summer, if we don't like it, it's not working for us, so we can return it, get our money back. Yes.
I have a question. 2 or 3 years ago, I thought we change the rules about allowing people to walk their dogs.
That's not when the geese are there.
The geese come at night.
Oh,
Yeah,
so it's.
There's
not
enough
right
kids
time
and
of day?
people at the park, they never go there.
It's
During the-
not in the morning, they're there at night, like
Late
when I
at
get out of work
Mhm.
is when they're at the beach.
Yeah.
At
Oh, okay.
11 p.m. till
See,
4
but
a.m.
so,
or
'cause
whatever.
at the time I thought I'd ask Rachel, and that she had said that it was having some success, so.
The sweeper?
No.
Dogs.
letting
Oh, the dogs. Oh,
Dogs,
yeah, definitely.
dogs.
People walking their dogs there.
That definitely helps. Dogs are the main deterrent.
Right, but if they are there at night and then they leave their stuff, a lot of dogs eat their stuff and that deters people from taking their dogs to the park. She scares the geese away.
Yeah. So dogs, dogs was the first thing we looked at. It's not, I don't propose or recommend it. Having locals walk their dogs, it's always good. There's a Rachel Roon, former Parks Director. She has come up with an application to spray in the grass that is a deterrent to geese, but not to humans. She and I are going to work together. She's going to try that in Emmett County. I would like to try this here, and let's see what works and adapt accordingly. So this is part of an experiment, an ongoing effort to learn how to live with these wild animals. So that's what this is all about.
And is,
Have you, sorry, go ahead.
okay, the lighting, I mean, is this, I guess my question is how much light is this showing? And if it's going on and off every 3 seconds?
Exactly.
That sounds like a lot.
Well, and how intense, and what I'm told is it's so low to the ground, it's not a bother to people. But let's see. I think you have to do something. You can't just accept, well, we got a problem. Let's like we're doing with the sources, and we're dealing with it up front. That's what we should be doing.
Okay.
I think it's great. Have you talked to this company about I guess my question is, if they can't land at the beach because of this, would that push them to other locations?
Hopefully the Petoskey.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
but I think you're right. Again, I think we need to learn how to work with these animals. Yeah, they're gonna go, they're hungry. They're gonna look, and
Yeah.
mowed grass is their perfect, short blade grass is what they like to eat. So it's gonna push them somewhere. What I'm proposing, if we can find that this does work, let's use it throughout the whole waterfront. But let's see what works first, or maybe a combination of several things is probably what we'll need in the end.
Mike?
Can I take questions over here?
Sure.
But
Does the electrical require DPW to get involved or are they battery operated?
They're solar, so no touch. But what I wanna propose is, we have to figure this out. I think they should be installed at the end of the lifeguard's duty at like 5. And then in the morning when they come, they take them out of the grass, so kids don't trip over them, lawnmowers can get at them, et cetera. So they won't be in the way during the day.
one thing, okay, sorry, David.
No, you go.
Go on.
But then they wouldn't collect the.
Ladies first.
Okay, they're gonna say no. Oh, so it prevents them from sleeping or.
Yeah.
Disrupts their sleep cycle, but it doesn't really prevent them from landing and having a really nice big dinner and doing their business. And then I also wanted to ask if you talked to any municipalities that have, tried this.
Well, this company, it's called Away with Ease. It's like 20 years old. And as I said, it's got a 97% success rate. So it would seem that they would definitely be able to land and do their business. But again, this is one of the, dealing with these wild animals that have been going on for 20, 30 years as their population is incurred upon public land. So we're learning techniques, and this is one of them that's been most successful. So I'd like to say we try it, monitor it, and if they're doing their business, we'll get our money back.
Just a side note, I have talked to several people, and weirdly enough, in random conversations, other municipality people that I deal with at meetings. These have been successful down,
This particular.
yes, down in the Detroit area. Shannon, I've also talked to people about the spray thing.
Ah,
A lot of golf courses use these lights. Like,
And then is council committed, like, when certain homeowners that maybe live across from the beach, come in to complain about flashing lights or whatever, are we committed to saying this is for the better public good and going forward with it, you know what I mean?
that's in my personal opinion, and I don't have anything to do with this council, but I think like what Patrick's saying is get them in the ground and see if it's really noticeable if who gets.
and work with it, but we're just, but I'll give them a t-shirt.
One thing what I was gonna say is basically what Dan said, is that maybe, like, we made a mistake, I feel like we made a mistake by buying that goose scooper. Because we spent $10,000 roughly, and then we're not using it. And if we reached out, I think we do need to do, if you and I can do it, a little bit of homework to reach out to communities to say, if you call the company, say, who in Michigan is using it, so we can call them. Instead of, I know it's only 1,000 compared to but we spent a lot of money thinking that was our end all, save all, and it's not worked. We've used it like a handful of times.
I'd be happy to do it.
And just find a reference, basically, I don't like the idea of just buying some, I agree, they're probably 97% rate, but that's their 97% rate. I'd like to call somebody and say, what's your percent rate? If it's Petoskey, One City, whomever we can call and say, is it really worth before we spend the money?
Yeah, this lady said they have many referrals.
That's all we need.
Said.
That's my opinion.
I think it's great. I think it's always been a top priority for the people on the Parks Board to deal with this, and it's just never, we haven't found a solution, and I think anything we can try that, especially if we can get our money back if we don't like it or if it's not working, I think that it's worth a shot if they have references that we can get.
And I see one more point too, if I may, we don't have a parks director right now, but it'd be really nice if we could have a commitment, like from DPW or, Nate, that somebody picks up the proof because they made.
That's a big stretch.
Guards do a pretty good job at the beach, but they can only.
I have not found that to be true. I don't know.
My experience, Dan, is you're both right. I know they do make a valiant effort. They add it every morning, but I also agree with you. It's not enough. people getting sick, especially my grandson.
Yeah.
So,
we'll try to get that to order.
I guess Marie started.
What do these rights cost?
about $1,000 all told, Tom.
We were all four of them?
Yeah.
They work with deer.
So, yeah, but what we would need is, first of all, we need a motion to approve the coastal pro.
I would be a proposal pro.
Yeah.
I'll second.
Tom Graham.
Yes.
Lenny Reed.
Yes.
Jimmy Muffy.
Yes.
And Kathy Marshall.
Yes.
Also, Crow is approved.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
And then, if Patrick does some work, that $1,000 falls within that, I can make that decision. And as long as we do some work on it, you guys are all in agreement?
Yeah.
Sure. All right, okay, very good,
And
Thank
see
you
your
all.
report back.
yep. We'll get some references.
We
and
wanna
then
know
move
if it
forward.
worked. I did like your share of cheese and beef at night when I was downtown.
They're all.
No.
All right, we'll move on to 4F Center Street resurface project. It was part of our capital improvement plan for 2026. It's Center Street between Pine Street and Lake Street. They would not start until school's completed. We put it out to bid or benchmark bid, and the attachment is the 4 bids that they got. And Spearland Trucking was the lowest bidder. And when I talked to Chop from the DPW, he was hoping that they would get the bid because they do a lot of our patchwork. And he's hoping that while they have the equipment in to do that project, they can also do the patchwork that we've designated to complete this summer. That's not included in this price,
Right.
but it definitely helps us with the, our expenditures for our patchwork
When are they starting this?
after school.
Middle of June.
Middle of June.
So those the holes on, the West Hill are gonna be there till the little.
We'll continue to patch them, but that's a major project because we're gonna have to cut it out and repatch the whole thing, so that's probably a true statement.
But you guys patch them like once a week, or twice, I don't know. Like they're there one day, they're gone the next, and they're back.
I call them speed bumps, but
Yeah.
it's not
No, how do you-
going oncoming traffic.
Sure.
But for this project, Benchmark sort of overseeing it, the DPW as well, Chop is gonna help me with it. But that's the bids that came in. We'll start as soon as school ends June 9th.
This is the same company that did Pine Street, and I would imagine they won't be there very long.
Is the resurfacing less expensive than the milling fill that we did on? Fine.
This is, I believe this is, no, I'm not, I believe it's the same project, the same process.
Okay.
Oh, we did, okay.
Well, that was 110, but that's, Pine Street is far longer than
Right.
2 blocks in Center Street.
And they're adding some curb and gutter up towards Lake Street.
Oh.
This is in the capital improvements plan.
Right, there's Nick and I talked, there's $100,000 over the next, I think, 5 years allocated every year. Cause my question was, I looked for Center Street, and it's Lucas picked out areas within the town to try to get ahead of this, and this is what we designated this year. So it's $100,000 allocated for, I think it's called chip and seal.
Are they gonna go north of Pine, south of Pine Street?
So not into that.
School.
Correct. We talked, actually Kathy and I met up there today and discussed that ongoing issue that you guys might have seen the email from Janice on that. And Jeff and I talked about it prior to the meeting, we're working on that, but it won't be that, on my understanding, it's not that portion of it. If there's no questions, we take a motion to approve.
And this, like, according to Lucas, this was the biggest priority for a section of street that needs.
This is done in from him.
Okay.
I think that going forward, over the next year, we really need to do a deep dive and try to get a game plan of, cause I've drive down but State Street every day and it's like we just need a plan.
And is this from the local street fund?
Correct.
Okay.
Right there?
Yes.
Not
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
And I think the premise on this one, for instance, was that you might see a piece of road somewhere else that, oh, that looks worse than this section. This one is on the borderline of starting to be not great. Financially, it makes sense to pick this one away while we're saving up the
For
extra
a bigger one.
to do something major.
I move we approve Deerling. That is.
You need a motion?
Sure.
Okay. I second. Spearling.
Second, Wendy Reed,
Yes.
Jamie Melky.
Yes.
Don Graham.
Yes.
Kathy Macho.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Or move on, we also have the discussion, on it. Move on to city manager report, I've got a few things to talk about. Number one, the marina's going as planned, I think they're looking at May, somewhere in the middle of May, of having a ribbon cutting for that. I've been in contact with Mark McGay quite often, like every other day, we've had some change orders. Everything is a little bit above budget because of that initial slab that they had to cut through, but everything else has been pretty much on budget. The substation, we're meeting, Nick and I with Huey are meeting every week, with the substation people, just to try to keep it rolling. And I feel like we have a pretty good understanding and is continuing to move forward. Nick? The FEMA grant, I just reapplied for, we're gonna hopefully get another $40,000 out of that category up. I met with Leonard, who's from FEMA, and we had to submit some other things. Nick helped us out with some paperwork, but we're hopefully gonna get another $40,000 for that.
Have we gotten the other money?
Yes, we have.
Ooh, yes,
$400,000, right?
yes, cool.
And like I think I said at the last council meeting, kudos to Victor, he did a lot of work on that. But we met that meeting over there and things started rolling and we got it, so.
And just a real fast sidebar on that, Pat, I was gonna mention this at some point, but this seems to be perfect time. When we get closer to budget season, that 400 grand is just sitting there now. As we talk about substation, I mean, some of that's going for costs for police and whatnot in the general fund, but the large bulk of it was because of the power grid. I'd like to see that stay in the electric fund because I could really don't spend $400,000 on something with a substation than $500,000 bond money. So, but that's a topic for once we have some numbers.
So then,
That 400 or whatever the FEMA money was going to go up on the financial report we're gonna get for the first quarter.
Well, we should have been doing that today.
Well, I'm just like, you know.
That up in the middle.
We don't have to do that. I can bring one next meeting.
Thank you. Great.
and then, we'll talk about the Department of Public Works first, as far as, I've been in contact with Chris, like we talk all the time. And he's in agreement with me that what we're gonna do to replace Lucas at the current time. And I've met with all the DPW electric department staff last week. we've met twice now. We're not gonna backfill. The Department of Public Works is gonna have a director. The electric department is gonna have a director and the water department is gonna have a director. We've got to create a title for that position. We're gonna increase their wages, whoever chosen for that position, 8% to oversee it. We're not gonna hire a director like what Lucas did, because in essence, he oversaw the water and the Department of Public Works. He didn't have a lot to do with the electric. It was a title given by 3 or 4 years ago. So this is a temporary basis. We're gonna try it for like 6 months. We're gonna do a lot of understanding with the union, because none of these individuals are gonna leave the union. The water department, Josh Warner is the only one that's had interest. It's either him or John Crisell. So he's the only one. Huey is Dan Huey. He's the ideal person because he's currently the supervisor anyways. And so he's gonna be the person to step up in that. Two people showing interest in the Department of Public Works, Brad Baldwin and Dan Gaskorchop. So what we're gonna do is, I'm gonna have interviews between the two of them. Chris is gonna be involved in this interview. Might even be as early as this Thursday. And then we're gonna promote one of those two. They both, years ago, from my understanding, Brad took sick leave. Chop came in and filled in for Brad's spot. When Brad came back, nobody went back to their position. They created two foremen. So they're both foremen at the current time. One of those foremen is gonna be raised to this, whatever title we give. They're basically gonna oversee it. All three of those individuals are gonna report to Chris. Chris is in agreement with us. We're gonna try it. It's gonna save the city some money. And what our hope is we're gonna backfill Lucas's position with another like, DPW, water department combined person, another boots on the ground person to help us out with mowing or whatever it is, so that or in the winter it will be snow plowing. We're in agreement. Chris and I have talked about this at length. I talked to him again today about it. He just got home. And so I said, because we've talked about it prior to him visiting, and he's still in agreement that he feels it's the best way to move forward. Instead of hiring somebody to come in and be the director, or also waiting until June, July when he gets here, we're right in the heat. We've wasted three or 4 months. So the union, when I talked to John Merrihew from the union, here's their union steward, they're in agreement. I just gotta come up with a verbiage on that and order for that letter of understanding, but that's.
Just for clarification, the Chris that you're referring to is the new city manager.
Right. Yeah. Our new city manager.
Amen.
Yeah. So does anybody have any questions on that? That's our move forward. I felt it was the best move. Talk to Chris about it. He's not here for another month and a half, 2 months. So this way we get somebody in position. These guys know where they stand. They're not level up with the DPW. I get it. I'm up there quite a bit speaking with them, but that way we're all moving forward and it's benefiting everybody, and we're saving some money, and we're also putting boots on the ground. Well, Parks and Recs Director, Chris and I have talked about this as well. I feel the need that we do need a Parks and Recs Director. This is like the 7th time I said this. I also think that Chris needs an assistant. And talking with Chris, I'm like, Chris, you understand you gotta put a 400-page packet together. He's like, what? He has like people that do that for him. Tina and Nick, Tina's really helped me out with that. So I think that assistant to the city manager is something that we need to have. This is, like I said, you guys have heard this, I'm beating the drum, but I still feel that way. Chris feels that way now, and seeing what's taking place. He saw me at the tree board meeting, the tree board meeting the other day. That guy's a packet I have to put together. It's minimal, but it's all work. Dan knows, we get together. So it's like something that an assistant might free him up. I think you're gonna see Chris out in the public quite a bit. He says he struggles sitting behind the desk all the time. And so I think that assistant, but in the same sense, I do feel the need for a Parks and Recs Director, because we're getting applications for Kiwanis Park. I wanna have graduation up there. Somebody gotta oversee that. We got the lifeguards that need to be hired, and like yesterday. Yes, and Van Antwerp, she'll oversee that, but it's still stuff that needs to take place. So I feel there's a need for both. I still feel there's a need for both. Chris and I talked about this as well, and he's in agreement with it. This is not gonna be a temporary position. It'll be a permanent thing. And we do have talked to some of the staff here. I think we'll have some movement internally that will benefit everybody internally. So
But you're still talking about adding a head, basically, to the employee head count.
yes and no, we're not replacing Rachel. So we're gonna,
One person,
So you're talking one person to be the Parks and Rec and
yeah.
yes,
Okay, I'm
Yes.
sorry, I wasn't.
60,
clear.
40, 50, 50, whatever that person.
Perfect. Okay.
And I've talked to the staff here. There is people interested in it. It might create, I have not talked to them. We're gonna talk again tomorrow. We have a 9 o'clock meeting, but there is somebody interested in that. I just wanna make sure that person knows about the Parks Part as well. But, Tina's helped me out, Tina's helped me out immensely with putting this stuff together. She's the one that puts it on Constant Contact, she's the one that puts the packets in the on the website. She's really good about it. She would like that position, I believe, and I think Becky at this point would like to move up to Tina's position. We gotta finalize this, I have not talked to them, but we've talked about it, and Nick and I talked about it as well. Nick's the foundation, he actually is their boss, and but Becky's a very good people person, and then we might ultimately backfill that position. It would be Becky's position, backfill with, we have to advertise it, but Chris is in 100% agreement with that as well, thinks it's a good idea, so. Any questions on that? So move on to Chris. So Chris was here, the new city manager was here, he came in on Thursday. We had a lunch, we had pizza in here with him and the city staff, and went real well. Everybody likes him. That night, in our meeting, I said, hey, Chris, if you want to get to know the people in town, it's burger night. So I said, if you want to go to burger night, so I took Chris down to the Legion on Thursday night. Quieted the whole, I was working the road, so I was in uniform, which has a little bit of extra ability to quiet people down, but quieted everybody down and introduced Chris to everybody in the Legion. There was probably 80 people in there, and he got a rounding ovation. Everybody was happy. I had to go back and work the road. He stayed there with Dick Schiller at the same table, and Dick informed me that multiple people came up, shook his hand and welcomed him. So I think Chris is off to a good start there. Chris put a, and I texted him to make sure I can make this known, but he's in a contract with a house, not a city, but it's very hard to get. Yeah, close as you can get. And so Chris has a contract with a house. He's excited about that. I talked to him twice today. He's gonna just got sell his house up there, but everything's moving forward. I know his wife had some interviews as well while they were here. And I had to leave Friday, but I know he came back in and filled the paperwork out. But talked to him today, super excited, and I think he's gonna fit in our community very well. So that's sort of it in a nutshell. Sorry, I took a little bit of time, but it's very important. We got a lot of things going on. We'll get this DPW and all that figured out. We'll get him an assistant. I think if it works out in here, if it does, it doesn't. So, any questions? So the only other thing I have is just a reminder that our May 4th meeting is at noon because of the election on the 5th.
There's an election. That's where she works.
Yeah, I went through all the knowledge, because nobody looked at it. Those kind of,
Sure.
Must be school.
Sure.
Got it.
Sidewalks. The west side sidewalk, I was told by John Cups to start next week. I will verify that when you ask me that, and I will verify. So just remember that in the next meeting, May 4th is at noon. The May 18th meeting, that's a Monday night, and we go back to the 7 o'clock schedule. So, and I will not be here on that meeting. Nick's gonna run it. Sorry. I had
Sorry. I see it. At least it'll be quick. Nick's in charge.
I hope so. So I'm gonna put an agenda, I'll put the agenda together. They're gonna be like through letter Z. Well, we'll be, yeah, there'll be a bunch of white on.
It'll be a menu, that is.
Oh, but yeah, that's when we start at 7 o'clock time again.
Well, I missed the tree board meeting. Dana was probably put together a report and sent it to my email, which I forgot to check. Right, so,
Like a quick update.
sure, yeah, quick update would be
Let's
wonderful.
see, we decided on where the 8th Street trees will go this year, and if I remember correctly, it's Lake and State Street, the new part where we have Ryder Boulevard. 2 in front of the Shea House to replace the ones that came down. And Spring Street. Yep, we talked a lot about Arbor Day. Our theme this year is the history of trees in Harbor Springs. And we've got a really great program. Let's see, Molly Baker from Topo Nexus is gonna be our speaker this year. Dawson Moore is gonna kind of lead the craft, and they're gonna make green little baskets that, people take home. Fun. We're giving away, red oak and, white birch at the request of the mayor. Mayor's gonna grill, hot dogs, right?
What day is this?
May 23rd. 11:00, yeah. And then Mark Johansson is gonna be our big sponsor this year, and I'm so excited. We know how the best part of, Fall Fest is that straw mountain in the
Yes.
park. So we're gonna have something like that at Arbor Fest, and it's going to be, what did we decide to call it? The Log Maze Challenge. So like you're a lumberjack balancing on these logs and you're gonna go around the park, so we'll see how that goes.
It's,
Zorn Park, yeah. Yep,
thanks.
Thank you.
that's the first day of, farmer's market, so.
For the kids.
Anna and I will be having a discussion about who's the that's so I'm really afraid.
We got a good compromise.
Yeah, we did.
I also missed the parks meeting, but I got an update and it was the very initial kickoff to the master plan. We did a master plan 5 years ago. And so now at the May 12th Parks Board meeting, we will set the official schedule. And we will talk a little bit more about what we like about the old master plan and what we want to add to it or what needs work on it. I encourage everybody to watch Parks meetings and participate in those master plan conversations.
The zoning board of appeals did not meet this month because we had no one meeting an appeal. And the sewer authority met last Thursday.
He was here.
Yeah.
Days ago, I think, I don't know.
And most of our discussion was about the new pump station that was going into Littlefield Township. Right?
Oh, yes, correct. Nothing really pertaining to us.
Nothing really came to us, except Nick had to budget.
Mayor? You good?
I didn't make any meetings either, I missed the DDA meeting. I'd also like to mention, I'm not gonna be here for the next meeting. Get my vacation, I guess,
At May 4th,
yes.
do we need to probably wouldn't hurt? Or I think we do that the day out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just remember that day you'll have to appoint. I think that's
That's
it.
about it.
We will have a vacancy on Audrey.
The Parks Board has a vacancy, if anyone is interested. send their application.
Any questions?
Should we set a date for when we're gonna,
No, we didn't. I'll work on that.
like May 20th to fill that parks position or
May 18th. Oh, what?
May 18th, yeah, whatever.
At that meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, just so that people know how long they have to. get
I'll
their
put that on.
application.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody, for coming. Hey, we all good?
Old new business?
But else got 2 cents to put in here?
$7.57.
Well done.
Thanks, Joe.
Yeah, thanks.
You going somewhere?